What is a creepy fact about the human body? Your intestines know what shape they're supposed to be in and can move themselves, which means gut surgeons can just stuff them back into you when they're done and they'll sort themselves out. They don't really know, it's more of a gut feeling. I have had my intestine resected, piece cut out, sewn back together, and now I am picturing the surgeon just shoving my guts back into me like a sleeping bag in a stuff sack when the job was done. He rolled them up like an extension cord and then threw them back into your skin drawer. What a terrible day to be literate in the English language. When you get laser tattoo removal, the ink doesn't disappear, you pee it out. Your body's immune system breaks down the pigments of ink and it flows in your bloodstream, gets processed through your kidneys, then you pee out the ink. A final middle finger to your ex if you get a tattoo of their name removed. With enough time, you can give the tattoo back to them. A dead body will often move as it's being cremated. Muscles contract as they cook, after all. Sometimes this means a body will sit up in the crematory machine. I know someone who worked in a morgue. One of their first experiences was going into a dark room to sort something out, and a body on a table sat up, groaned and farted, then laid back down. Hey, my husband does that and he's alive. Nice to know he won't change much after death. We don't just have one anal sphincter. When poo comes along, it passes another inner sphincter which isn't under voluntary control. Meaning you can do ooh with your outer sphincter, but not the inner one. You tried, that's okay, sensory cells can detect whether you're about to pass gas or solid. From toddler age on, you can decide to go or not to go. If the time isn't right, e.g. at a friend's house or no toilet nearby, the inner sphincter can push the poo back and store it there for later. That's why sometimes if you need to do a number 2 but don't go, the urge goes away after about 20 minutes later. But seriously, go if you can. Constipation risk. Gas can be pushed back so easily, so we sometimes toot by accident when moving or engaging the core. Now what about liquid? It doesn't seem to know liquid. So we play Russian Chartlet. Everyone's sitting here now, going ooh with their buttholes. Your tongue has incredible tactile capabilities. So much so that if you look at any object, you can vividly imagine what it would feel like to lick it. Go ahead, look at the wall, your shirt, your shoe, the tongue knows. All that time as a baby built this library of knowledge. And still I can vividly imagine what my MacBook feels like licking. It's a mastery. You spend your most brain-spongy days shoving things in your mouth. It becomes a skill to just know what stuffing a 3-foot USB-C cord into your mouth like fruit by the foot will feel like 30 years later. Our brain filters out a lot of what we see along with just straight making stuff up based on extrapolation. Proprioception always amazed me. That extrapolation allows your brain to estimate distances automatically and know the positioning of your arms and legs at all times. You can close your eyes and touch your nose with your finger without much thought involved. If a stroke knocks out that part of your brain, you have dysmetria, where you have a lot of difficulty subconsciously measuring distances. Proprioception as a whole is amazing, and trying to program a robot to even approach a rough draft of it is incredibly difficult and really hammers home just how complex our brains are. Also, the fact that some people just have flat-out better proprioception is something to take into account and may help you understand why some people struggle with some tasks. It's also part of why some people just suck at driving, since that is also heavily dictated by proprioception. Development of proprioception in childhood is why it's so important for children to climb, swing, spin, go upside down, slide, and fall down. It all helps build that physical literacy. Allegedly, your immune system has no clue your eyes exist. Effective tomorrow, if your immune system found out about your eyes, it would treat them as an external threat. Therefore, try and neutralize your eyeballs, leaving you blind. True. Eyes are so-called immune-privileged sites. Severe trauma to the eye could potentially expose the immune system to antigens of the eye. That's when things can go dark. Oh goody. I've had an eye infection that left my tear glands practically dead in the water. Good to know I've got even more to worry about now. Human beings are a cesspool of bacteria, and when you die, your body eats itself from the inside out. More bacteria than human cells in our bodies. I might also add that billions of bacteriophages, viruses, feed on the bacteria in your gut. It's a whole ecosystem in your gut. You can become allergic to yourself. I am allergic to my own cum. I once had a bit of cum on my stomach and it became red and itchy. You've got a nut allergy. I found out the hard way your body can just randomly develop the most severe and deadly possible allergic reaction. In my case, I randomly became deathly allergic to tree nuts after previously never having any issues with allergies, even pollen never bothered me much. But then I bought new chapstick and it had almond oil in it. Immediately went into full anaphylactic shock. Meanwhile this is happening, my mom keeps telling me that I'm being a drama queen repeatedly when I was trying to tell her I needed to go to the ER. My throat was closing faster than my face was getting swollen, so she didn't believe me. And then I almost died in less than 15 minutes. Was in the trauma center for 10 hours before being moved to the ICU on life support for 4 days. At least I heard a doctor scream at her for calling me a drama queen and refusing to bring me to the hospital or call 911. I still remember him screaming at her, if you had gotten here even just 30 seconds later we'd be having a different conversation right now about funerals. The liver can grow parts of itself back. If you get a splinter or foreign object stuck in your skin, you can hold a flashlight against your skin and shine the light through your flesh, and the foreign object will be a dark spot. Light actually passes through our flesh quite well. Also, if you shine a bright enough light into your mouth you can see the light in your own eyes. Edit. I'm really glad that so many people have gotten out their flashlights and had some fun with them. Never stop exploring and being curious and trying to discover new things. The world is amazing and has so much crazy stuff to uncover. Y'all keep having fun now, and thank you everyone for all the wonderful replies and absolutely making my day. So what you're telling me is I can become a jack-o'-lantern. Shove a big enough light inside and bingo bango. Use lube though. Food that was consumed can sometimes take up to 5 days to fully pass through your intestines into your colon. So when people say that you are full of shit, they ain't lying. Yep. We can store up to 5 kilos of shit at any given time. I definitely know some assholes that store way more than that. The brain will always usually try to ensure its survival. If knocking you out does so, then you will faint for the safety of the brain. I remember finding this once, but I don't remember clearly. Your brain does a slightly similar thing with sleep exhaustion too. When it gets to such a severe point that things start breaking down, the brain will basically say not on my watch and put you into a microsleep. We've probably all had microsleeps before when we're overly tired, but the further you slip into sleep deprivation, the more dramatic they get. Your brain will trigger them more and more out of necessity, and you'll find it harder and harder to get out of them. When my sleep disorder was at its worst, I would find myself completely unable to open my eyes after my eyelids were dragged shut by sleepiness. The more I forced them open, the further I went into hypnagogic hallucinations. There'd be pink animals floating across the lecture hall, sounds would become distant echoes, and everything would rapidly become a rainbow swirl of tunnel vision. My next recollection would be that time had jumped 3 minutes as I'd fallen unconscious on my desk. After each microsleep the next would be harder to snap out of because my brain needed to wrestle me down and hold me there. On bad days like that, I'd be unable to stop walking in the street because standing still would trigger microsleeps, and I'd collapsed once or twice before. Same goes for the bus, absolutely no sitting, because I'd wake up at the terminal stop. I'd essentially had between 5 and 10 actual restful sleeps out of the whole 365 days. The other days could be a combination of 1 to 4 hours of effective sleep. Thankfully my disorder is now about 75% treated. How limited our minds are. An ant will never understand that being in my room when I'm vacuuming is a bad idea, but the knowledge exists. I'm sure there's a buttload of information about the universe staring right at us, but we'll never understand it because of our stupid human brains. I always view it as a sort of frame. A fish in a tank has a specific frame it can live in, the tank itself, as well as things it can, technically, perceive beyond that. The room the tank is in, for example. Anything beyond that is absolutely outside the fish's knowledge. For example, it has absolutely no chance of knowing my kitchen exists, generally speaking. I do believe humans have a better chance of maybe not breaking, but adjusting or widening that frame, but it'd be ridiculous to think we'd be able to know and perceive everything there is. This also applies to our own bodies as a specific frame we can do specific things with. While I can have a general idea of what it's like to be you, I'll never fully know. That and the fact everyone does the things they do for a reason really helps me in accepting different viewpoints, behaviors and other things. A pregnant female corpse will build up enough gas to expel the fetus even after death. Look up coffin birth. I've been reading this thread nonchalantly for 45 minutes, kinda not seeing anything new. This fact? Nope. I'm erasing that from my brain. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. And be sure to check out our other videos for more content like this. See you next time.